was interesting last year. You know, we did it tough, obviously, in coming last, which isn't something that we're actually proud of, but it's something that we know that we can do better at and work towards. Our challenge there is that we need to be more consistent. We actually back-ended the year better than we started it, so that was a good improvement. A couple of new players. We've got a pretty young group, and we do have a lot of youth still coming in, so we're looking for experience, so always looking for new experienced players, and we've got a little bit of that, probably more youth coming in, and that's a challenge for us, but nothing that a couple of extra 100 games under our belt won't fix. To be honest, Paul, I think top 8 would be a good thing for us. This isn't a one-year plan for us. We need to be very consistent as we go forward. Again, you know, more experience with our young guys. We've got plenty of skill and plenty of ability. What we need is to curb that youthfulness with a bit more experience and add to that as we progress.
I thought it was actually a very constructive season. We started off, you know, probably not being expected to win many games or actually accomplish too much, but the aim of the exercise last year was to build a group, build a new culture in the club, make people realise that you know, we're a club that's going to be building for the future. It's not just a flash in the pan. So we're trying to sort of, last year was we ended up achieving that, I believe, you know, towards the end of the year. We had a fairly happy group of players. We realised that, you know, we've got to be a family. People want to come down to train. We built training up to 2 training sessions a week, you know, leading into this year, and we've attracted, you know, some newer players. There's a lot of great feeling, you know, in regards to this culture that we're creating, where it's not just you know, basically a win at all costs. You know, we want to come down to train together. We want to be friends and mates and buddies, and take that into the future, and also support our younger players that are coming through, and you know, and look after this club. In saying that, this year, you know, we've managed to have a magnificent facility, probably one of the best facilities, you know, I'd say in Brisbane now, you know, with the water-based turf, and there's a great environment that's going to happen here. We're going to get a lot of people coming out, but to train on this field is going to be absolutely fantastic. We've already had a great number of people turning out for training, and looking to go forward for this year. My thoughts are basically, we want to be knocking on the door, you know, if we can. We don't want to sort of be, you know, looking at the bottom end of the competition. We want to be looking at the top end.
Yeah, we're a little bit disappointed with our finish last year. We did have aspirations to finish in the finals. It didn't work out for us that way. We lost some critical games against teams that we felt we could have taken points from, given the lineups that we had. So to finish outside the finals was where we're at. I suppose the results don't lie. So we've started again now. We've reviewed our squad. We've added 1 or 2 pieces to it, but effectively the pathway that we're on is about bringing juniors up through our club and looking after the juniors so that we can get some continuation in our player base, and also not having to rely on recruiting players from other clubs. So we are still looking to add to our group, but we're pretty happy with where we are, and our assault on this season is to go forward and finish in the 5 and see where we go from there. But we'll be looking at you know, building on what was, as I said, a disappointing season last year, but equally we feel as though we've got the personnel to give it a nudge this year.
I actually retired in 2017 after coaching uni, and thought my time was up. I did have some contacts here at Kedron that I'd spoken to over the years, and a phone call was made to me would I have a meeting with them to discuss coaching the club. Knowing that Baden Choppy, an ex-Olympian silver medalist, was playing here and had interest in coaching, I got the information that he'd like me to help him out, and so he was appointed assistant coach. And I'm to mentor him, and hopefully with the experience he gains in dealing with the boys and working with me, is that he'll be the next coach at Kedron Mayville. So I had a lot to do with him in his Australian years and younger years, and was a selector, as I said, when he made the Olympics and played for Australia, and was a very, very brilliant player, Indigenous boy from Mackay. So he's got a good story to tell. So I thought I had a soft spot for him. But in Kedron Wavell, I just felt that I would be able to help them and Choppy, and knowing that they've got some young Queensland players in the juniors coming through, kids from Sunshine Coast interested in coming down and training and trialling. The club has also got 4 new players that have come over this year, so it's going to be difficult for us. They came 7th last year, and it's been probably 7th to 10th where they've been in a long time. So as long as we're more competitive in what we're doing and not leaking a lot of goals and getting some trouncings, that we're competitive. And so in saying that, I did up the training plan, and we did some 4 weeks of training of running prior to Christmas. Came back on the 9th of January, and we've had good numbers attending training, 1, 2s and 3s up to 40 people at a time, so there's a buzz around the club, but there's a long way to go. But there's youth amongst it. That's why I also took the job, is that I like working with the young people to improve them, and I think the oldest is probably only about 26 in the team, so 27, so you know, we're looking probably 3 or 4 years down the track, but the key thing is to mentor these guys, looking at the Queensland players that they are producing, looking at the youth they've got. I see a lot of hope for Kedron Wavell in the future.
I spoke to Troy Elder last year about helping out with the team, possibly being an assistant coach, and Troy made the decision earlier this year to not coach again this year because he's got a lot of work commitments and has spent a lot of time with hockey, so he's decided he needs to put a bit more time into family and work commitments, so I've taken over the coaching reins this year. Troy's still going to be around playing, which is great because he's got a lot of experience obviously, and I've known Troy for a long time. We played together in under 21s 100 years ago, so so we'll work together quite closely still. Look, I didn't have a great deal to do with the first grade team last year. I was playing seconds and thirds, but obviously as a supporter I was watching them. Unfortunately they had a lot of injuries, and they had a couple of people move throughout the year. Blake Wallace went over to Perth, Simon Borgia and Michael Francis were injured throughout the year, so that hampered their run towards the finals, and I think they missed out only by a couple of points in the finals, which obviously being defending champions is very disappointing. So we're hoping for finals again this year, or hoping to get back into finals this year. We're going to have a fairly young team. Again, we've lost a couple of players to retirement, so Michael Bates and Mitch Baker have hung up the boots this year. Simon Borges, from my understanding, is overseas and probably won't come back to Brisbane in time to play the season out. And also, obviously, Blake Wallace leaving last year. So we've got a little bit of experience there still with Troy, Justin Douglas, Michael Francis and Harrison Farrell, who are both young but pretty experienced players. Jared Cutler, so we've got some good experience there, but we'll be relying on a lot of the younger guys coming through and helping out this year as well. And the middle of the season is going to be a real challenge for us because we'll have Jared Cutler and Carl Kramer going away through Cale's getting married, and he'll be away for most of July, and we'll also have Harrison Farrell and Michael Francis away with the Queensland 21s team. Oh yeah, we have got Brad Hughes coming back in as well, so he'll miss the first couple of months of the season. So unfortunately I guess the stop-start part of the season through March and April with the Commonwealth Games means he'll only miss sort of 3 or 4 games, and then he'll be back into that. So again, he'll bring back a bit of experience there as well.
2017, obviously 5th. We ended up making the finals and got done in the first week. But overall, the club was happy, the players were happy. That's always a great indicator. The players at the end of the year were really happy with their individual efforts, happy with the group, and really enjoyed the season. So leading into this year, we've lost a player, one of our more senior players, Jake Hathaway. So right now, pre-season 2018 involves a lot of stick-on-ball work. So we at UQ have a fantastic new facility that they spent many millions on, which is great. Players want to come here. We can train at any given time on this surface, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, we're a bit hamstrung by the points cap that remains in place at the moment, but hopefully common sense will prevail there, and so we've had a couple of players join us from outside of Brisbane and from other clubs as well, which again, we're only a couple of weeks in, so they're still assimilating into the group. But Jake is a loss for us in the midfield there this year, but I'm confident we'll sort of we'll pick up some players that can definitely fill a hole. Yeah, so this year we want to grow again. So the growth for us as a group starts with the individual. We do a lot of work with players in general for their personal aspirations. We do set goals as a group as well. Those goals this year are obviously to go at least one better than what we did last year. We did make the final, but got done in the first week. So the intention this year is for us, as a minimum, to make finals again.
So yeah, last year a pretty successful year. The year or two before that, we've sort of been finishing around the 4th, 5th mark. So 3rd is definitely a step up, and we're looking to build on that again this year. Quite fortunate in that the talent within the team is just building year to year, so I think that was the big key to our success, was just the natural progression of all the guys, and we had a number of guys who had, I guess, career best years, you could say. So fingers crossed we have a similar progression this year round. We've retained most of our guys from this year. There's a few of the older blokes from Toowoomba who aren't heading down this year, but while that's a bit of a loss in the talent we're losing, it's also a good opportunity for our younger guys who are knocking on the door to step up and can definitely fill their place. Highlights, there are a number. I guess no one really expected us to finish 3rd, so I guess taking it to the top teams, and East was the only team that we didn't get a win against all year, so that was a bit of a low point, but otherwise getting wins against all the other top teams was definitely a positive. The year ahead, we're just looking to build on that. There's a bit of grief, I suppose you would call it, after getting knocked out to finish 3rd last year. The guys sort of left a bit of a bitter taste in the mouth, so hopefully the motivation is there this year to build on that, and we can go at least 1 or 2 wins better this season coming. But that'll very much be a work in progress as our younger blokes continue in their development, and our older veterans with dodgy hamstrings also can shed a bit of light and guidance and bring them along.
Past, boys did well, probably fell away a little bit at the end of the season. Presently, we don't have any room in the points cap to attract new players to the club. So we plan on developing our younger players. They'll be prominent in the starting lineup for the 2018 season and blend with some of the experienced players. I think we'll have a good blend, and we'll aim for a top 3 to give ourselves a better chance, but every game, 1 week at a time, that's what we'll be approaching the season as.
Well, thanks Paul. I'd forgotten about the grand final until now, so to sum it up, it'd be disappointing. That's our 2nd GF and another loss. So 3rd time lucky, hopefully. We're looking to improve in that. But I suppose overall can't be too disappointed in the boys. In the end of the day, you play to get into the grand final, and we achieved that. Well, today's our first day, Australia Day. We always meet for a run, do an 8K run, have a barbecue after, but unfortunately this year we've got no turf until after the Commonwealth Games, so it's a real struggle. We'll be training on tennis courts, doing some indoor stuff, but a lot of fitness, so the season will probably pan out pretty slow for us because we'll be short of a touch, but the boys should be super fit, but we should come home, hopefully come home with a wet sail. Player-wise this year, obviously we've lost Corey Weir to the Kookaburras, so he's full-time in Perth now, so he's a big loss, but as a club it's good to achieve getting a guy in the Australian team, so we've done our job. Well done to Corey, and we wish him all the best. So now it's time for some of the young blokes to step up. We always sort of have a policy of playing young guys a few minutes here and there so that they're not too dissimilar with the way we play in Div 1, so hopefully they'll fit in. Tough to predict where we'll come this year. We're going to have a slow start, so obviously we want to get into the 5 to get that second chance in the top 3. It'd be good. It'll just depend on how the boys get back into it after Com Games.
Yeah, it was a pretty awesome year last year, obviously. My first year back in Brizzy, 15 years, to play the way we did, to win the final and just be at a really good club. I think we're trying to always promote hockey in the club scene, and last year was a great start for me coming back to Brizzy.
Yep, so far so good. We just came off the pitch just then actually, so running 3 times a week at the moment, starting stick and ball next week, which is 23rd of Jan, and then looking through the Tiger Turf Cup on the 23rd of Feb, and then round 1 March 17. So yeah, obviously good season last year, looking to build on that again. A few players left, Timmy Howard over to Perth to the Institute, gained Billy Shaw who came up from Ryde, our good partners down there, and also Jake Farrell back in the team after a year in the wilderness. So yeah, no, looking good and looking forward to it. Team to beat, I would say Labrador would have to be there again. Bulimba probably strong, Commercial always in the mix, so I think there'll be another competitive year.